3.2 Aggression, Tom Hopper.
Did you see the brawl in the Liverpool versus Everton game? Do you think it was aggression or accidental?
Well, aggression is feelings of anger resulting in hostile or violent behaviour. It can be either physical or verbal and has to show intent towards a living being. So based on that, there was aggression in this football match, as the players acted aggressively towards the opposition team, as Holgate performed hostile aggression towards Roberto Firmino by pushing him over the advertising boards.
What is hostile aggression?
Hostile aggression is when someone acts aggressively towards another person and their only aim is to injure them, as they maybe didn't like them or held a grudge. Looking more closely, it could have been instrumental aggression, which is when they aim to cause harm to gain an advantage, and this could have been an incentive for Holgate, as he might have wanted to injure Firmino as he is one of Liverpool's best players.
Could it not have been assertion or channelled aggression?
No, as assertion or channeled aggression is taking anger out within the rules of the game, and pushing someone out of play is not legal, but a strong tackle in rugby is legal as long as it is safe.
What about the nature of the sport and what the coaches can do?
Football is quite a physical sport, and the game between Liverpool and Everton is a very big rivalry, and Holgate, the one that pushed Firmino, is very inexperienced, so it would have been easy for his frustration to boil over as his side wasn't winning, or earlier on in the game, Firmino may have said something to Holgate to annoy him, and again, being young may have not helped as he needed to keep his emotions in check to avoid getting sent off. Also, I'm sure the coaches got their players fired up for the big game, so that may have influenced what he was like in that certain situation.
Are there any theories that go alongside aggression?
Yes. Firstly, there is instinct theory, which was suggested by Freud in 1920, and then later by Lorenz in 1966. And this was that your levels of aggression were innate and that your behaviour was predictable. However, this theory was disheartened when a theorist called Berkowitz in 1972 said levels of aggression tend to increase in sport, not decrease as Freud suggested. Next was social learning theory. This theory was suggested by Albert Bandura in 1966, and he said that all behaviour is learned and is reinforced by the environment around them, and becomes accepted if it is reinforced. So if children have role models which act aggressively, then they will copy what they do. The obvious criticism is that people don't always copy what they see, and they could also copy good behaviour as well as bad. Then there are two similar ones which differ slightly. Firstly, there is the frustration-aggression theory. That is, if your goal in a game is blocked by the opposition or somebody, you are likely to become frustrated, which then will automatically lead to aggression and you lashing out at someone. This was suggested by Dollard et al. In 1939. The other theory suggests the same. After you have frustration, there needs to be another cue or a stimulus to tip you over the edge, so to say, and then you act out aggressively, and this was suggested by Berkowitz in 1969.
Do the coaches have any influence on their players in regards to aggression?
Yes, they can. They can know what may potentially make their players frustrated, and then could maybe substitute them off the field in order for them not to receive a final cue and then act out aggressively. An example would be when Chris Hughton substituted off Anthony Knockaert because he wasn't playing well, and this would maybe lead to him becoming frustrated and then acting out aggressively and getting a 3-match ban for Brighton.
Final question. What strategies can be implemented to reduce aggression in sport for players, coaches and others?
Well, for players, they could have positive self-talk to calm them down in case they're getting too frustrated and could maybe act out aggressively. For coaches, they could discourage aggression, so punishing aggressive behaviour by any player on their team, and then everyone will be afraid to act out aggressively. And for others, you could be a fan and you're quite aggressive when drunk or under the influence. You could limit the availability of alcohol and drugs to stop them from behaving in an unstable way at football matches.